video on the digestive and urinary system. I have the terms up on the computer, so if I look there, that's what I'm looking at. So first, the food goes into the mouth, and this is where it's broken down into smaller pieces by the teeth, and it's also chemically digested by the saliva secreted from the salivary glands. So then the food passes through the pharynx, which is the throat, and so pharynx is also part of the respiratory system because both food and air go through this. But then the pharynx moves the food to the esophagus through muscular contractions. And then the esophagus, which runs from the end of the pharynx to the stomach, moves food by peristalsis to the stomach. And these are wave-like contractions that move the food. And then it reaches the lower esophageal sphincter. And this is a band of muscle, smooth muscle, and this is the junction between the esophagus and the stomach and allows food to go to the stomach. Then you have the stomach. It's on the left side of the abdominal cavity. It's C-shaped, and it partially digests the food into a fluid called chyme, and it does this by mechanical digestion, where it physically breaks it down into smaller pieces by the churning actions, but it also has chemical digestion because of enzymes such as pepsin in it and the high acidity, which breaks down the food further. In the stomach, there are rugae, and these are the folds in the stomach that happen when the stomach collapses on itself when it's empty. And then it passes through the pyloric sphincter. This is a band of smooth muscle that attaches the pylorus, which is the end of the stomach, to the small intestine. And so then the first part of the small intestine that this attaches to is the duodenum. And then the next part of the small intestine is the jejunum, and then you have the ileum. And the small intestine is the main digestive organ, and it absorbs the minerals and nutrients into food. And after the ileum of the small intestine, you have the iliacal valve, and this separates the small intestine from the large intestine and allows the food to pass into the large intestine. So the large intestine is called large because while it's shorter in length, it's a lot larger in diameter, and it also dries up the food that's left, making it into the form of feces, which is secreted from the anus. So in the large intestine, you have the colon. So it's split into many parts. So first, it passes through the ascending colon, and this passes upward on the right side of the abdomen. And then the transverse colon passes across the abdomen from right to left. And then the descending colon passes down the left side of the abdomen, and it goes toward the rectum. And then the last part of the colon is the sigmoid colon. This is S-shaped, and this is what connects the colon directly to the anus. And then the rectum is where the feces is stored before it's expelled from the body. And then the anus is the opens to the exterior. It has an internal sphincter that's made of smooth muscle, but then it has an external sphincter that's made of skeletal muscle, and this is what allows us to control our expelling feces so that we're able to, control when we go to the bathroom. And it keeps it closed in all times except during defecation. So then there's a lot of accessory organs in the digestive system. So the appendix is a narrow pouch in the stomach in the abdomen, and they used to think it had no function, but it does have a lot of good bacteria in it, which are very important in keeping the health of the gut. And the gallbladder is a thin green sac next to the liver, and this is what stores and concentrates the liver. And the liver, this is the largest internal organ in the body. It has 4 lobes, and its job is to make bile, and this bile and then is stored in the gallbladder and then enters into the duodenum. And bile's function is to break down large fats into smaller ones, which makes it easier to digest later on. So the pancreas is a small triangular gland, and its function is it produces enzymes which break down foods, and these enzymes are secreted in the duodenum. It also produces hormones such as insulin, which are important for the body. And then the salivary glands are in the tongue, and these produce saliva. The saliva's function, first of all, it moistens and binds food together into a mass called the bolus, which is easier to swallow, and then it also has the enzyme amylase, and this breaks down starches. Also, saliva also inhibits bacteria. Then the teeth are designed, obviously, to chew the food and mechanically digest it, break it down into smaller pieces. And the tongue is helps with molding the food into this bolus, and also swallowing. So I think I talked about most of the digestive processes already, but I didn't talk about a couple. So absorption is these are the digested products, nutrients that are digested in the GI tract, and then they're transported to the blood or lymph to be used in the body, and this is called absorption. So, and chemical digestion, I think I talked about it, but this is just when food is broken down by enzymes or acids, basically just chemicals. And then, flatulence is when gas accumulates in the digestive system and is passed out through the anus. Gastric secretion, these are the acids and enzymes secreted by the stomach. Mastication is another word for chewing, breaking the food down into smaller pieces. And then segmentation is sort of like peristalsis, but it occurs between the small intestine and large intestine, and peristalsis only goes one way, but segmentation can go back and forth, and this allows the chyme to slosh back and forth between the small intestine and large intestine, allowing more mixing of it. So now I'm going to do the urinary system. So the kidneys are the two bean-shaped organs in the urinary system, and they extract waste from the blood and then use this waste to form urine. So then the first part is the renal cortex, is the outermost region of the kidney. Then there's the renal medulla, which is deep to this cortex. And then the renal pelvis is like a basin-like cavity, and this is what connects to the ureter. So the functional unit in the kidney are the nephrons. And this is what forms urine. So in the nephron you have the glomerulus, and this is a bunch of little capillaries that filter the blood. So inside these you have the different arterioles. There's the afferent arteriole, and this is what brings the blood into the glomerulus, and then the efferent arteriole receives the blood that is already passed through it. And then on the glomerulus you have this filtration membrane, and this is what filters it. It separates the blood from the filtrate, which is the waste in the blood. And so then this filtrate is stored or collected in a single layer of epithelium called Bowman's scapula, which surrounds each glomerulus. And then you have a lot of tubules in the nephron, which eventually lead to the ureter. You have the proximal convoluted tubule, and this is where the filtrate absorbs more nutrients and salt, and this lowers the amount of liquid that's secreted later on. Then the next part, you have the loop of Henle, and then after that you have the convoluted tubule, and this also fine-tunes urine composition. So then after that there's a collecting duct, and these are where the tubules end, and then they enter the collecting tubule, and then you have next it passes through the calyces, and these are the areas in the kidney where the urine passes through. So you have a bunch of minor calyces, and these all converge and they form the major calyces, and then these pass urine from the and these end in the renal pelvis, and then they pass the urine to the ureter. And the ureter is the thin tubes, and these pass the urine from the kidney to the bladder, and the liquid is moved through there through peristalsis. And then the bladder is a collapsible sac where the urine is stored before it exits the body, and it is able to expand and collapse a lot. And then urine leaves the body through the urethra through peristalsis. So there's some other processes in the urinary system that I haven't talked about. Well, filtration I talked about by the filtration membrane, because this is when it's filtered in the glomerulus of the kidney. And then Filtrate is the substance that is filtered out of the blood and becomes urine. Micturition is the digestion of urine from the bladder, so this is basically peeing. And then there is reabsorption, and this is when water and solvents move from the tubule back into the plasma. And then the secretion helps regulate pH, and allows the kidney to eliminate certain wastes and toxins. And then the last term is urine, and this is the byproduct of the that's secreted by the kidneys.